Good afternoon and welcome to BSides Las Vegas. This is Breaking Ground and the talk is From Email Address to Phone Number, a New OSINT Approach by Martin Vigo. So a couple of announcements before we get started. We'd like to say thank you to our sponsors, especially our Inner Circle sponsors, Critical Stack and Valimail. We also want to thank our stellar sponsors, Amazon, Microsoft, and Secure Code Warriors. We have a lot of sponsors and donors and volunteers who, without them, we could not do this. So big thank you to them. Another announcement, all of the talks except for Underground, including this one, are being streamed to YouTube. So please make sure your phone is on silent. And if you have questions, raise your hand. I'll bring the microphone over. We want everyone to be able to hear you. So with that, let's get started. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me. I know it's lunchtime, so I really appreciate that. So in this talk today, I wanted to talk a little bit of a new approach for doing OSINT, specifically if we want to find out someone's phone number and the only thing that we have is actually his email address. Sorry for my voice. Yesterday was a long night. My name is Martin Vigo. I used to do product security. Now I'm doing more red teaming. I also founded Triscal Security. Most importantly, I'm from Galicia. Has everyone been in Galicia before? Nice. That's awesome. Sweet. Did you guys have pulpa feira? Good. The others, you should go. And I really enjoy doing research. I do scuba diving, and my drink of choice is gin tonic. And this is an Amstrad CPC 6128, which was my first machine where I learned BASIC, and I really love this picture. It's the only one I have with the computer. Anyway, the point being is, the first thing I wanted to do is to talk a little bit about privacy, right? We're talking about email address and phone number. And this is kind of the way I look at it. If we will think like, what is the PII that I want to keep private? I kind of put a chart here, like an email address is usually what we are comfortable giving away. Publishing on the internet is the way that we communicate with strangers, so to speak, right? I will claim that the profile picture is still on fine, it's something that we publish, a picture about us, unless you are really into privacy. The age, I start to get a little uncomfortable if that publishes. Some security questions relate to your birth year, things of that nature. And in my case, a phone number, we usually don't give that away. You may disagree with this chart. This is my personal view of it. But definitely in one extreme, we have the email address, right? It's something that we give away. The phone number, not so much, just to people that we know. And of course, on the other side of the spectrum, we have the social security number, which we don't give to absolutely anyone. It's anyway on the deep web somewhere already. So, but in terms of security, if we looked into email and address, this is also different, right? Think about if someone with malicious intent wants to target you and they have their email address. You could think like, this is what I came up with. They can spam you or do phishing emails to try to convince you, to click somewhere and drop an OD or whatever. They can try to target someone that you know by spoofing your email address because they know it, right? And try them to get to click on something malicious. But an email address, if we want to target someone, we can also use it to try to find password hashes. We can go to websites like Have I Been Pwned, see if my account got leaked with the passwords in clear text or that I can crack it later. So that's something that someone could do if they have your email address. When it comes to phone numbers, some stuff is similar, right? I can get spam calls, I can get phishing attempts. We also have spoofing in phone numbers. So if someone has my phone number, they can try to pretend to be me by calling someone else, my wife or so. But then we get into more interesting stuff. You may or may not be familiar with HLR registers, but that's basically a global database. That's how the phone system operates. But most importantly, you can query it. You can put a phone number and get certain information about it. Nothing too crazy, but you can know if a phone number is being roaming, so you know if that person may be out of the country. You can know if that number is actually active on a carrier or it has been disconnected. So there may be some accounts associated to that number that you may want to try to get that number registered for yourself. So we start to get into a little bit more concerning stuff. But then we have things like voicemail hacking. I gave a talk last year about voicemail hacking at DEF CON, and all you need is a phone number, right? And you can target that, and the impact is very big because you can compromise online accounts with that. And then we have fake cell towers, we have SS7 attacks, We have SIM swapping, very popular. We keep reading about people that gets their Bitcoin wallets drained because someone targeted them with that and bypassed 2FA. So these are the differences in terms of security we saw before in privacy as to the differences between leaking your email and leaking your phone number. And what I wanted to get at is that leaking your email is not such a big deal, but if we have a way in which I can find your phone number, suddenly the threat surface increases quite a lot. So, but in terms of usability, on the right side, if we have a way in which we can find someone's phone number based on their email, that could be very useful for private investigators or OSINT professionals, right? Your target, you may have the email address, that's not difficult to find, and you want to get his phone number because maybe, you know, if you work for the police or whatever, you can, with the carrier, maybe get their physical location and things of that nature. But for red teams as well, right? We may get credentials, but our victim has 2FA on. If we will know the phone number, then we can play a little bit maybe with phishing attempts to try to find a temporary code or do some more sophisticated attacks. But like in everything, we also have the bad side. Being able for someone to find your phone number based on your email address can be abused by stalkers and doxers, right? We read horrible stories of people just trying to dox others, and then like they order 1 million pizzas to their house or things of that nature. And for spammers, it's bad too. We all got a phone call, someone talking in Chinese, threatening us with taxes and things of that nature. At least I get it like every other day. So what are the classic methodologies that we know? You know, you can go to public records if you are into OSINT, you know, like court documents, things that are public that may have your personal information there. Google Docs, if you posted on a forum your phone number, maybe because you were searching for something or wanted to buy something and your account is to your email, you may be able to find it. People search engines, the straightforward, right, the Spokeo or People Finder or any of those. You put an email address, you get the phone number, data leaks, social engineering. So there are a number of techniques. So the purpose of this talk is just giving you another technique, just for professionals, for red teamers, because none of them are bulletproof. So you want to have a lot of tricks in your bag, and you want to have a wide range of tool sets. All right, so I mentioned before that I did a voicemail hacking talk last year. And at BSides, actually, last year, I also did another talk that was focusing on SMS. What I want to say is that I spent a lot of time resetting passwords in a lot of websites for doing that research. And I started to see a pattern, right? When I go to reset a password, it usually shows me a masked phone number to which is going to send a text, right? That's how you usually reset passwords. You get a text or you get a phone call or you get an email. So, but what I realized is, okay, some websites show the first ones, others shows the second one. So I started to go over different websites and see a pattern. So specifically for eBay, for example, it's to anyone that goes and initiates your password resets, just with your email, nothing else, will get the first 3 digits and the last 2. For PayPal, it gets the last 4. For Yahoo, it gets the first 1, the last 2. For LastPass, it gets the last 4. And for Google, Twitter, and kind of like what is the common thing is that you get the last 2. Okay, the problem here is we have no standardization in how to mask PII. And I put this example here because I found it very interesting. For PayPal, if I go reset your password with your email, I get 5 digits of your phone number. If I have your password as well, I get challenged with 2FA and it only shows me 3. So PayPal, the same service, shows you 5 digits if you only have the email, and it shows you only 3 if you also have the password. So it masks more digits for an attacker that needs way more information about you. So it doesn't really make any sense, right? So, but the true power here comes of the combination, right? If, for example, who has here an eBay and a PayPal account? That's quite a lot of people, and the others are probably lying. So with an email address, if I go reset your password, in those 2, I will get 7 out of 10 digits of your phone number. For eBay and LastPass is the same case. Yahoo and LastPass is the first 1 and the last 4. So you get the thing, right? If we start to combine accounts, we get even more digits just from your email address. So when I got here, I was like, okay, the max I got was 7 out of your 10 digits for US numbers, right? So I started to focus on which numbers I don't know rather than how many I don't know. And I appreciate this from a coworker that told me about exchanges. I'm from Spain, so I didn't know much about the phone numbering system of the US, and he told me about the concept of exchanges. So I started to read a lot about that. So it turns out that an American number has, a Canadian number, from what I read, has an area code that is the first 3 digits, the last 4 digits are the subscriber number, and the one in between is the exchange. Okay, so enter the North American Numbering Plan Administration. And I started to go down the rabbit hole and learn so much about the phone numbering plan, and this is really, really great. I read a lot of documentation. But basically, the North American Numbering Plan Administration, it's an administration that is in charge of assigning phone numbers to different areas and basically taking care of how the phone numbers are assigned in the United States and Canada. The most interesting stuff is they have a public database of the area codes and its exchanges. What does it mean? That an area code does not necessarily have all the possible 1,000 exchanges assigned. Remember, we are missing only 3 digits, that's 1,000 possible numbers. It's actually not the case. For example, I live in San Francisco. I don't want to leak my phone number now, but say I have a number that starts by 415, there is only 784 exchanges for that area code. So I don't need to try any more 1,000 phone numbers, right, that I'm missing from harvesting from the services, because about 200 of them are not valid because they don't have an exchange assigned. For Tacoma, it's a especially interesting case. It only has 458 exchanges assigned to the 253 area code. That means that we got rid of over half the possible numbers that we had left, because we know it's the exchange digits and we know the area code, so it can only be to 458 possible exchanges. And this is all public. So we reduced from 10 billion possible numbers from someone that you don't know any digit to only 458 just by using an email and public available data. But it's still quite some numbers, so I went deeper into the rabbit hole. Enter the National Pooling Administration. So the way the NAMPA assigns numbers is by using the area code, the exchange, and that is associated to a location, that's the area code, and to a carrier. So for example, say 415-201 is assigned to Sausalito for AT&T. 415-202 is assigned for Sausalito for Verizon, and so on, right? So we only have the 4 last digits. That means that 415-201, it's 10,000 possible numbers. The subscriber number is 4 digits for AT&T. For AT&T. But Sausalito only has 7,000 residents. If all of them will have a phone number and all of them will have AT&T, which is not the case because there are also children and not everyone has AT&T, we still will be wasting 3,000 phone numbers. But that gets even worse because, again, we assign to different carriers the area code and exchange. So we possibly have, if there are 4 or 5 carriers in Sausalito, we have 50,000 numbers assigned when there is only 7,000 residents. The FCC noticed this, and they published a document, and they suggested that the first digit of the subscriber number will be assigned as a block. So instead of assigning 415-201 to AT&T and 415-202 to Verizon, it will assign 415-201-1 to AT&T, 415-201-2 to Verizon, and so on. So now the blocks, instead of being 10,000, they are in the thousands. And so we are not wasting that many numbers. And of course, we can take advantage of this because the National Pooling Administration also publishes how the block numbers are assigned to the exchanges. So we can also take advantage of this. At the bottom, you see zoomed in what we are interested for. And for the 415-272 area code plus exchange, we see that only the block number 9 is actually assigned. The others are retained. That means that a carrier asked for it, but it's not in use. In other words, there is no phone number that is 415-2720 or 415-2721. It can only be 415-2729 and random subscriber numbers. Makes sense, right? So let's say our victim, our target, is from Tacoma, okay? And they have an email and a PayPal account like all of you. I don't care how many raise their hand. You all guys have that. So eBay gives us the area code. Fantastic. PayPal gives us the subscriber number. Great. Now, thanks to NAMPA, we know that there are only 458 exchange assigned to the area code that eBay gives us. So now we have only 458 phone numbers possible. But because we have the subscriber number, we can go through those 458 exchange, see if they are pooled, which is the lingo for this, and see if they are pooled, if they have the block number 9 assigned. So we can further reduce the possible valid phone numbers. And we got it down to 445 numbers. Again, just by using your email and public available data from NAMPA and the National Pooling Administration. All right. So as I mentioned, that's quite significant. I will argue that someone with intent and time could probably call here. You can automate that with services like Twilio and try to find out more of the victim if that's their phone number, right? You can maybe use the time zone or something like that. But you can make 400 calls, arguably. Still, what we want to do is find a way, that was my intent, find a way in which I could perfectly say, okay, this is the victim's phone number. So I started to think like the steps that I took till getting here, right? And the first thing that I did was I used your email number to go reset your password and obtained some digits because it was masked, right? Turns out that there are services that you can reset the password using a phone number and get a masked email back. So it's exactly the same attack vector in reverse. I have a list of 445 possible numbers. And now I can use that list, start to iterate over all those, resetting passwords, get the masked email back, correlate it with the email that I have, and then find out what is your phone number. Here it's a little bit more clear. Amazon, for example, if I reset with a password with a phone number, it will give me the first letter of your username, the last one, and the entire domain. But the stars that it shows corresponds to the characters that have been masked. So I also have the length of the username. For Twitter, for example, it gives me the first 2 letters and only the first letter of the domain. But I can perfectly take advantage of this because I can correlate. If my victim is victimusa@martinvigo.com, it's very, very likely between those 445 that I find out the phone number, right? I doubt that there is going to be 2 or 3 that have exactly the same masking. And if they do, I don't care because it's going to be 2 or 3 possible phone numbers. And it works great. So what is the attack vector? If I have an email address, I go to different websites and harvest phone number digits, initiating the password reset with the victim's email. And you can use services like Name Checker, and there are some services online that it will tell you from a username on an email address in which services that person is registered. Next thing is we use public available data and knowledge about the phone numbering plan of the country that you are targeting to reduce the phone numbers, right? The possible that there are. And then with the list of the possible valid phone numbers that we have left, we use services to go reset the password and correlate it to the original email that we have. And that's how we find out that person's email. So, of course, this is a lot of manual work. So I created a tool that will do that automatically for you. All right. So, the features. So it goes and it harvests it harvests digits from using your email address, right? You put your email address, and it goes to eBay, to LastPass, and all that stuff, grabbing those digits. Then it helps you generate, based on a mask, the possible valid phone numbers by querying NAMPA and the pooling administration. So you can give it 415XXX7923 or whatever, and it will give you the list of the possible phone numbers. And then it can also go to those other services that support reset password with a phone number, and you can use proxies and stuff like that to bypass the CAPTCHA, and it will give you, it will correlate the email and all that stuff that I explained and give you the possible phone number. Let's look at a demo. All right, so, oh, I can't pause it. All right. So we're going to start. Our victim is victimusa@martinvigo.com, right? So I'm going to use the tool with the option scrape. And that's basically what it's going to do. I just needed to provide an email. It goes to different services. In this case, it just goes to eBay and LastPass, just to show it for demo purposes. So it goes there and tries to get digits from those accounts. So I provide with the E option the email of my target, and it will go there, harvest those digits. So it's scraping eBay. So for example, I'm pausing it here. You get the first 3 digits and the last 2, right? Pressing play now, and from LastPass, I know that the last 4 digits is 8826, but I also know that it's a US phone number because I realized that I will add a plus if it's a number that is not from the US. So I'm trying to find everything I can, because this is about OSINT, right? You get tidbits of information, and that's how you do what you're intending to do. And so in LastPass reports that the length of the phone number is this, and this is going to be interesting for what I'm going to explain later. Cool. So we have the first 3 and the last 4 digits. Awesome. So next, with the tool, what I'm going to do is use the option generate. And this is going to generate a dictionary of possible valid phone numbers for the mask that I'm providing. So what I'm going to do is provide that 415XXX 8826, right? Because I got already 7 out of the 10, and I'm missing the 3 corresponding to the exchange. So it's going, it's downloading the database, it's parsing it, and it gives me a number of valid phone numbers. So I reduced even further the possible phone numbers of the victim. And the last thing is brute forcing. For demo purposes, I'm just going to mask it in a way that I'm just missing 1 digit, because if not, it will take a little longer. So what it's going to do is going to use, I think in this case it was Amazon, in order to, as I explained, reset the password with that list of possible phone numbers, in this case only 10, because again, I'm just masking 1 of the digits for demo purposes. And it will tell me, it will start to correlate and tell me, oh, possibly this is the phone number, because the email and the masking of the email adds up. So you see there, I'm just putting 1 of the X's. And I make it verbose, so we get, it will tell you, oh, this account doesn't exist, or CAPTCHA caught you, or whatever. And that's how we just found there that as the masking that I show you, it matches, so that's the possible phone number. Awesome. So what about other countries? Here is where it gets very interesting, because I'm from Spain. And in Spain, phone numbers are 9 digits long. They are not 10 digits long. The US is a very big country. So unfortunately, it gets way, way worse. Is there anyone from Estonia, San Salvador, or Iceland here? Or Finland from the Alang Island? No? Also lying. Probably there is someone. So one of the things I realized was, okay, 10 digits is actually my key space, right, so to speak. So I need to find out more about that. But for countries that have shorter, is it possible that it will be even easier? And that's the case. Services like eBay and LastPass do not adjust their masking based on the length of the phone number. Remember, eBay is leaking 5 digits. There are countries with 7 digits phone number. Those right there. So if you have an eBay and a LastPass account and you are from any of those countries, your entire phone is public to anyone that has your email. You see it here. Like I bought a phone number from Estonia. It's 588-1172. LastPass gives me the last 4. eBay gives me the first 3. Pretty bad. So this is a list of countries with their phone number by length. Imagine like countries with, oh, I only have 2 minutes. Okay. There are countries with 8 digits. That will be only 100 possible phone numbers. So it goes on and on. Thanks. So The tool that I provided, it's more a POC. I mean, ideally, I put it on GitHub a couple hours ago. So ideally, the community starts to add support for more services and stuff like that. But the true power is the querying, the NumPy and the pooling, right? Getting that dictionary of lists. So I am working actually on an online services, a website, Google style, that you will put a mask. It will allow you, it has multi-country support. I found other resources that are public, that I know more about the phone number system of other countries. Most importantly, advanced filters. Say you know that the victim has AT&T. Now you can click that and reduce it even further. Say you know that the victim had a phone number for over 2 years. Then you are not going to count the block numbers that were assigned in the last 2 years, because you know that the phone number had to be older. You can add filters for the carrier I mentioned already. Or if you say like, oh, I know he's from California, it will only take into account the area codes of California, things of that nature. And it has historic records too, because these websites are updating every month, so I want to keep historic records. So I'm working on this. Stay tuned on my Twitter, and I will publish. I just didn't have the time to do it. Recommendations very quick for online services. My recommendation, my recommendation is to use a customizable label instead of the last digits. So just say, like, when someone resets the password, I can set up a label and it will say, I will send the text to work phone or whatever I set up. Don't show digits. And for you guys, just don't provide your phone number or use a VoIP service or something. Responsible disclosure, kudos to eBay. They reduced from showing the first 3 of the area code just to 1. It's not perfect, but it's much better. PayPal, for whatever reason, they are displaying 5, and they say this is working as designed. Yahoo is still working on the risk mitigations, and LastPass acted immediately and reduced it to only 2. Too long didn't read. That's like how I like to finish my talks. Attackers can use your email address to obtain phone number digits from online services due to a lack of standardization in PII masking. Combined with publicly available information and an understanding of the country's phone numbering plan, it is possible to recover the entire phone number. Thank you very much. And I take any questions that you may have.
Have you looked at any edge cases where the different accounts are registered with different phone numbers?
Sorry,
have you looked at any edge cases where different accounts are registered with different phone numbers?
Yes, I looked into that. Actually, I have to say that I put as an Easter egg a Hollywood-style kind of brute forcing when it was scraping, and we will start like to go over that. But I realized that you may have different accounts. So that's why I put it kind of more like a report, right? It will tell you LastPass found this and eBay found that, rather than assuming that the phone number is going to be the same and it starts to do the digits. So that is definitely possible, that the phone number is different in accounts.
Great talk, thanks.
Thank you.
2 observations that might help you take it to the next steps. There are already online websites that do a good job of this for India and Pakistan that you could leverage.
Oh.
And there are starting to be some for the U.S., or you can subscribe to pay services like Spokio.com or Intellius.com, and for a few dollars a month, you can either put in an email address or a phone number, and it'll search all kinds of public records and give you an entire profile of the person.
Yeah,
not
definitely.
as much fun as doing it yourself.
Yeah, no, definitely, as I mentioned, that's why I put up the slides. This is not the only technique. I'm not discovering here, right? It's just a new trick to add to your set of tricks, right? Any other questions?
Yeah. Do you find that in the automation that...
I don't know who you are, but...
Over here.
Oh, sorry.
Do you find that in the automation that any of the sites are going to start throttling the number of requests that you can issue over a period of time, or that accounts are being shut down if you're... I don't know that you necessarily need to log in, but is that going to reduce the effectiveness of the tool?
That's a great question. 2 things. 1, I only showed services that you only require the email. There are some services, like, for example, I think it was TurboTax, that asks you for the username, for example. So if you have additional intel, you can leverage more services. That's one thing. Second, I started with eBay, and I could do without a proxy 500. Like, after 1 week, they probably discovered that I was doing something noisy. So now after 10, it blocks. But with a proxy, you can bypass that. So the interesting thing here, it will not lock the account, because think about it. I'm iterating over a list of phone numbers. So I'm only resetting it once. try to reset the password with one phone number. So it's not that I'm trying to brute force anything. So because it's only trying once every phone number, it's not going to lock the account, right? Because that's just one attempt.
But is it going to block your script because it sees so
Ba-
many attempts coming?
And that's the interesting thing. It can only do it based on my IP, right? It cannot lock the account. So that's why the proxies are useful, VPNs and stuff like that. Probably behavioral if you get a little bit more fancy, but those are things that you can possibly bypass.
Your talk was really great, man.
Thank
Give
you.
this guy an
Appreciate it.
applause, because it's a lot of work.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All of the sites that he brought up, their back end is actually one shared data broker. It's called Axiom Corporation and also called LiveRamp.
Wow.
So if you have an access, these guys sell every bit of your
Yep.
information, no matter if you try to hide or not. They mark you as hidden and you're trying to hide. So it's not public information, anything about you. Your name is your property
Yep.
in the United States. I don't know about the rest of the world.
No, 100%. And thank you for mentioning that, because this is mostly about privacy, not just security, right? So unfortunately, I had to fly over the recommendations, but I have that you use dedicated phone numbers only to the services that it's mandatory to provide it. Because again, it's just like a username, your phone number, and it will be used to cross references among these data farming companies and stuff like that. I agree. All right. If not, I'm going to hang out around here, so please feel free. I love to talk about this. Thank you.